Hey guys, Hype out here, and welcome back to another video. This video I'm going to do a little bit differently. So usually when I make a video, I'm doing a bunch of small little clips and putting them together. This one I'm just going to do one long clip. Minimal editing and without a script this time. I'm just going to kind of storytell. The reason I'm doing it this way this time is because I've told this story a number of times as a story, and people usually get a kick out of it. So I figure, you know what? Screw it. Gonna freestyle it and see what happens. So the story takes place around the beginning of October. I had an annual meeting that I had to go down to Springfield for, kind of like a convention. So usually when I go, I end up driving with a buddy of mine. This year, unfortunately, he wasn't able to go. So I had to make this long, horrific trip, which is about 3.5 hours, down to Springfield, Illinois, which, if anybody has ever been in central or southern Illinois, they know it is just an absolute hellhole. There is nothing to look at. It's just cornfields, soybean fields. It's just absolutely mind-numbing. About 2 hours into it, I just wanted to shoot myself. So I make this 3.5 hour drive and finally get to my destination, which is the Statehouse Inn. Now, normally when I go, I try to book the hotel that's actually connected to the convention center. It just makes life a lot easier. Get up in the morning, walk downstairs, boom, you're there. Unfortunately, this time, 2 months ahead of time when I booked my room, it was actually already filled up, the hotel there and the one across the street. So I looked around and I did find that there was another hotel that was about a mile away, which was the Statehouse Inn. And I figure, you know what? A mile isn't too bad. I can walk there every day. No big deal. It shouldn't be a big issue. So I go ahead, get there, check in. First thing the receptionist does, they tell me that they don't have any non-smoking rooms. They only have smoking rooms, which is no big deal to me. I was a smoker for probably about 15 or 17 years. I quit probably 7 years ago or so. Anyways, smoke doesn't bother me. I don't mind being around smokers. I don't mind being in a car with a smoker. I don't mind going to a smoker's house. It really doesn't bother me. If anything, if I'm out drinking and someone's smoking a cigarette, I kind of get a little bit closer to them just so I can kind of breathe some of that secondhand smoke in. So I say, fine, yeah, go ahead, give me the smoking room. That's, no problem. So they give me my key card. I head on upstairs, and lobby was normal, elevator was normal, the hallway to my room perfectly normal. I get into the room, and holy shit, it was just like a punch in the face of cigar smoke. It was like 5 fat guys were just smoking cigars out of their ass the entire night. Like they just literally left right before I got there. It was thick, it was heavy, it was actually pretty gross. But I figured, you know what? I'm not going to be in the room that long. It's not a big deal. If anything, I'm probably only going to be sleeping about 3 or 4 hours a night. So I'm not going to really smell anything when I'm sleeping. So whatever, I'll just deal with it. So I'll go ahead, go inside, and the first thing I want to do is, get my stuff down. So I put it on the adjacent bed and I start unpacking. When I go to the dressers to unpack, I notice that they're missing handles on there. There's no knobs to actually pull the drawers out. What they have are a bunch of holes that are just kind of bored out in them. Now you may think, well, maybe that's the way that they designed it, which is a possibility. The problem that I have with it is that if you're going to design a drawer like that, then why wouldn't you sand down the inside and finish it or lacquer it? Maybe put something inside it like vinyl or whatever. I don't care. Because every time I was sticking my fingers in there, I was getting like a splinter or something that was chipping off trying to get inside there. It literally looked like I was figuring a cabinet. It was kind of bizarre. Other thing that I noticed is that the cabinet set that I had, one of the doors was like different. There was a drawer that was a totally different color than all the other ones. Maybe that was like a special drawer or something. That's, who knows. But whatever, no big deal. After that, I decided to go to the bathroom because I just needed to pee. So I walk into the bathroom. Bathroom actually looked pretty nice. I go to the toilet and I notice that there's something kind of off about it. And what was off about it is that it was like a play school toilet. Um, It was made out of ceramics, so it wasn't plastic or anything weird like that, but it was incredibly low to the ground. It was like you had to squat down if you were going to go number two in it. Fortunately, I just had to pee, so it's just a longer trip for my pee to get down there, but um, I did sit on it just to check it out, and yeah, it was like my knees were totally up to my chest. The counter uh, in the bathroom was over my head. It was just really, really weird. But again, like I said, I'm only going to be there for about 2 days. I was just going to be there Thursday night, Friday night, and leave Saturday afternoon. Nothing that really got under my skin that much. It's just a bunch of small little annoyances. It is what it is. I didn't really care that much. So I go back into the bedroom, and I got there probably about 5 o'clock. And in October, it starts getting dark. So I had the lights on. I opened up the curtains just to look outside to an amazing view of the lower roof that's below my window. Nothing too spectacular there, but coming out from my fucking awesome view of the top of a building and the railroad. Cool shit. Best hotel ever. Like I said, I was there about 5 o'clock. I was meeting up with some people, but I think about 7 o'clock or so. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go take a nap for a little bit and then go meet up with. Took a nap for like an hour, maybe a little bit longer. Headed on out to to a restaurant to meet up with a bunch of other friends that were down there also. After dinner, we ended up going back to the hotel that's connected to the convention center where most of the people are staying. At the convention center, they had a reception area, free booze and some food and whatever. While we're there, we're drinking a little bit, and I start talking to people I'm with, and I'm telling them about my hotel room, and no one really believes me, but I'm telling them, this over the top, exaggerated story. And when you're drinking, everything becomes a lot more exaggerated, as you can see in the pictures. Exactly what I'm saying. There's no fabrication there. So I keep telling the story. I told the story a few times to a few different people, and every time people were laughing at it, and I kind of got a chuckle out of it. Later that night, we went out to a bar, drank a little bit more. It was probably about 2 a.m., and I just kind of decided, I was gonna head on back to my hotel room. Take my mile walk back to the hotel, back inside, instantly get hit by that cigar smoke. It's still lingering. It's not going anywhere. Get ready for bed, and I want to watch a little TV and fall asleep to that. So I turn on the TV, and they have one of those guide channels, the scrolling thing on what's on TV. All right, so we're here in the hotel room, and we're on the welcome screen that comes up with the guide. So let's see, what do we want to see here? So many choices. So many choices. Let's see. It is about 3:45. Oh, you know what? Key and Peele's on. Or Sports Center. You know what? Let's do Sports Center. Everybody loves Sports Center. Let's try that. So number 3-1. 3-1. Nothing. Alright, let's try pointing it at the TV. 3-1. Nothing. Alright. Hey, CNN. That's 049. Alright, let's try that. 049. Oh, no, nothing. As well as helps to protect it from the ongoing. So on that one, I just hit up. So let's try CNN again. So 0, 4, 9. That was 6. That's still nothing. 0, 4, 9. Nothing. Let's try 32. Two numbers. 3, 2. Nothing. Let's smash the controller. Nothing. Oh, wait. We got some. Oh, it went back to the same channel. How about let's do 11? So we'll just mash 1 over and over again. Mashing 1. Nothing. Smash 2. Morning comes and wake up, and I got a little bit of a headache, from the drinking. Not exactly hungover, but enough of a headache. So I start getting ready, take my shower in the morning. Now, when I turned on the water, everything was fine, and I'm showering. Then all of a sudden, this horrible noise comes out. It's like a siren, an air raid siren's going off. I feel like I'm in 1940 London, just getting bombed by the Germans, and it will not go away. In the morning, I wanted to just take a nice long hot shower, but because of this air raid siren that's killing my head, I had to hurry up and just take a quick one. Here's a clip of it if you wanted to check it out. What the fuck? The meeting that I'm going to, I had to actually dress up, so I got a suit and tie on, my dress shoes, and I have to take this mile walk over to the convention center. So, of course, those days that I was staying there, for some reason, it was so incredibly hot and humid at the same time. The humidity was just absolutely ridiculous. I head on out. It's like 8 a.m. By the time I actually got there, like I'm like sweating. Not from the walk. I mean, like I did the walk the night before. It was no big deal. But this morning, it's just so damn humid. I'm just sweating. When I finally get into the convention center, fortunately, it is air conditioned, so it felt a lot better once I got in there. Sat around listening to speakers for like 4 hours or so. After that was done, we had a break for a while. I could head on back to the hotel room and just kind of relax. Talked to everyone, found out where they were going to be later, and I was like, all right, I'll catch up with you guys. I headed on back another mile back to the hotel. Got nice and sweaty walking back there. Get back into my room. First thing that I want to do is just take everything off. I'm hot, sweaty. Start taking off my suits, hang it up, and basically I ended up being in my boxers and socks. Finally get everything off. I sit down on the bed, and no less than 30 seconds after I sat on the bed, I was just kind of looking through my phone. I hear some rattling by my door. And I kind of peek over, trying to figure out what's going on. All of a sudden, my door opens. I'm kind of shocked. And this middle-aged black woman just comes on in. She enters my room. She sees me sitting there in my boxers and socks. And she's like, oh my God. And then she just runs out. No explanation whatsoever. No anything. And I'm just like, what just happened? What was that? What? How did that happen? Now you may be thinking, okay, well maybe it was just housekeeping. They were coming in to change the bedding, the sheets, and give you some towels and straighten up, do whatever. Yeah, that is a possibility. The problem was is that so when I left, everything was, the sheets were on the floor and the towels were on the floor, whatever. When I got back to the room, everything was already made up. So I had fresh towels, my bed was made, everything was back in order. So housekeeping was already there. So this woman had absolutely no reason to be there whatsoever. So right after this happened, and I'm calming down from the shock of what just happened, I kind of take a look over around the room, and there's a chair in the corner. Now, if you haven't noticed from the pictures, the decor of the room is actually pretty terrible. It's like 1970s Art Deco, absolutely terrible Motel 8 furniture. The headboard was like bamboo, and the chairs were like this weird 1970s futuristic view of what a room should look like. But anyways, I see this chair in the corner, and I didn't notice it the night before, but there was this huge sweat stain that was just running down the back of it. I mean, and what I mean the back of it, I mean down the middle where your back would rest against it. Clear as day, a sweat stain right there. It's a sweat stain that must have been there for a really long time. Like someone must have sat in that chair, sweating their balls off for hours for this just to permeate in there. Who knows? Maybe the person just died in that chair. It's a possibility that I have to take into account. But it's absolutely disgusting. Unfortunately, I didn't sit in that chair any time before I noticed it, and tried to stay away from it as much as possible. But seeing that, along with everything else in the room, just kind of got me thinking that, everything might not be up to snuff. When I got there originally, the day before, it was a little bit darker, so I had the lights on, and the lights that are in the room kind of actually dim everything down. Now, the time that I was in there now, it's about 4:30 again, and I didn't have the lights on, but I had the window wide open, so all the natural light is coming inside there, so you can see way better. One of the things I saw after I saw this chair and started like kind of looking around, on the wall that was adjacent to me, it's actually next to the bed that I had my stuff on. I was sleeping in the bed that's closer to the window, but on that wall there were a bunch of, the best way I can put it is bodily fluids on it. My guess is that they're just like semen markers. It looked like there was just a gang of bikers that came in there and had a bukkake party on my wall. It was just absolutely terrifying. And take a look at it here. Yeah, that's pretty horrific, isn't it? I am just like absolutely flabbergasted. I don't know, I don't know what to do. But I know at that point, I wasn't going to really touch anything else in that room. The rest of the time I was in that room, I always had socks on, brought some pajama pants, and slept in a shirt, so not going to take a chance. And I actually started getting scared that there might be bed bugs somewhere in there. Now, later that night, I did meet up with some friends, and we were drinking again at the bar, telling them, I guess, the conclusion or addendum to the story I was telling them before. And now new people are hearing something, and so I'm telling these other people this whole story, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that can't be true. That can't be true." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, this is what it is." I took a few pictures and I showed it to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's disgusting." I know. I'm like, I know. Now I had this one friend that I did tell the story to, and he was laughing about it. And then after I was done, he's like, "Well, did you go complain?" I'm like, nah, I don't really feel like complaining. Something about me, I don't usually complain about things like that. It doesn't really bother me all that much as long as I have a place to sleep that's safe, that I'm not going to get stabbed or shivved or shot or robbed. It's not the biggest deal to me. Yeah, it could be better, but sometimes it's just not. But he was convinced. He's egging me on. He's like, you should really go complain and let them know about all this, and take them to your room and show them all this. And one of the reasons I didn't want to complain, besides just for the fact I just don't want to, it was, I'm telling the story at about 10 o'clock. I've been drinking already, and I know I'm probably not going to get back to my room until about 2. So I know I'm going to be much more inebriated than I am at that current state. So I know that I'm going to be walking back to the hotel room, stumbling around, and most likely slurring my words, and I'm just going to look like a drunk weirdo. About 2 o'clock rolls around, and I end up taking my walk back to the hotel. On my way there, I was debating whether I should say something, and again, another hot humid night. I get back to the hotel room. I walk into the lobby, and I'm heading for the elevators, and then for some reason, just out of nowhere, it was just like a flash hit me. It said, just do it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I walk over to the reception desk, say hello. My name is, Hype Out, and I'm staying in room whatever. She's like, how can I help you? I'm like, well, I have a little bit of a gripe. And she just had this weird look on her face. She's like, what's a gripe? I'm like, I have some issues, some complaints. And she's like, oh, okay. So we're already off to a bad start. Again, I'm sweaty from walking. I'm drunk. I'm stumbling around. I'm using much bigger words than I'm sure she's used to. But I continue anyways. So I go ahead and I start telling her this story. And she's looking at me. She's like, oh, I'm very sorry to hear about all this. She pulls out a pad of paper. She starts writing. And I have no clue what she's writing. She could have been just doodling around. And then I ask her, well, what are you going to do about all this? And she says, well, I can't really do anything right now because there's no manager on duty at the moment. But there will be one in the morning. And he can take care of everything for you. I'm like, all right, well, I understood that, there's probably nothing that she could do, but I might as well have fun with the situation while I could. So she was a younger girl, probably about mid-20s. If you know anything about me, I do like to mess with people. I told her, well, what happens if somebody breaks in and tries to kill me and ejaculates on me? She's like looking at me with like a horrified face, like this is going to happen. And then the other thing I said is like, well, what if a bunch of people break in and they want to make like ejaculatory Jackson Pollock artwork on my wall? What do I do then? I think at that point, like, she started like realizing the outrageousness, and like I was probably smiling at that point as I was saying it, so she kind of got it and started like laughing along. And I asked her like, what happens if like stuff starts dripping on my head? Do they offer free HIV tests? So she started laughing actually pretty good at all this afterwards. It could have been just like a laugh to get me the hell out of there, but it seemed to lighten the mood a little bit at least. So after I was done, I went back up to the hotel room and kind of insulated myself with clothing so I didn't really have to touch anything. Headed to bed, and that was my night. Morning rolled around and back to the shower. Absolutely horrific. So after that, I got dressed and packed all my stuff up. Went downstairs to the hotel lobby. I went to see the hotel manager. So I get up there and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm looking for Gerald." He's like, "Oh, I'm Gerald." I'm like, "Oh, hey, Jerry, how you doing? My name is Hype Out. I was staying in room blah, blah, blah. I'm checking out right now. There was a couple of things that I wanted to bring up to you about my room that I did not like." And I went through this whole list, and I'm like, "I'm sure you have the list that the young lady wrote last night for you." And he just looked at me like puzzled, and I was like, "Oh, crap." She was doodling. Anyways, now, as I told this entire story to him, he just kind of had like this look on his face like he didn't really believe me, and it kind of annoyed me. So I was like, okay, well, why don't we go, if you don't believe me, we can go to the room and you can take a look. And he's like, oh, no, I'll do it afterwards, before housekeeping comes in. I'm like, are you sure? We go up there right now. No, no, no. All right, fine. But I was wondering, well, what can you do for me? I mean, like, this was absolutely disgusting. Jerry's like, well, I can't really do anything right now because it looks like that you booked your room through Priceline. You'll have to contact Priceline and tell them what happened. Then they'll contact me, and then I contact Priceline, and I can credit you for one night. Man, screw me sideways. There's this big rigmarole to go through to get credited one night. Whatever, it's good enough. I wasn't even expecting that. Just the look that he gave me when I was explaining it was just so weird, and like, and he even got like defensive, like when I brought up the TV remote, like he's like, well, the TVs they don't work that way. I'm like, what hotel have you ever been in where a TV remote doesn't work the way it's supposed to? Where you put in the number 32 and 32 comes up. It was just like this weird delusional fantasy that he had about his hotel, that like, he just didn't believe me, and he was like taking it personally. Long story short, I did end up getting a credit for one night. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you really enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead, drop me a like or a subscribe. Really appreciate it. And I'll go ahead and try and make some more videos like this. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. I'm Hype, and I am out.